Hey, my name is St-Pierre, and you're listening to Go Podcast. Today I will tell a story about when one of my Go service got csharpify, and also a couple of things that you might want to not bring with you when writing Go. Hello, Gophers. So yeah, let's go with another episode. I want to quickly talk about a small Reddit post that I tried to start for the topic of this episode, and it did not went well. So I had to change the topic, but I still think my idea is good. Maybe it was poorly explained. I want to do an episode on having multiple people saying, what they, if they could go back in time, if you will, and talk to themselves at the beginning of the project that they are currently working on, or any kind of longer project that you worked on, what would be one advice that you would give you if you could? So I think it would be a nice experiment to talk about that. So I got a couple of answers, but for some reason the post did not resonate. So I would still want to have at least 10 advice. So if you have anything like that, you may reach out to me directly on Twitter or my email. My email is very simple. It's my name without the dash on St-Pierre. So at gmail.com. So you can reach out directly if you want. So yeah, I would still like to do this episode. Okay, so let's go back to the main topic, or at least let's start on the main topic. So, well, yeah, just before we start, I want to start doing more historical experience on the podcast. So what I mean by that is I'd like to share a little bit more of the personal experiences that I had so far. I will try something. So I'm thinking of doing maybe each 2 episodes. So I'm posting mostly at each 2 weeks, and so let's say twice per month. So one of those episodes will have a little bit more personal experiences in there. I kind of talked about that a little bit on the last episode, and I got some nice comments. So I think people like to hear about not failure, but difficult real world stories about how things go. You are not alone. I am not alone. We are mostly all doing the same thing, and at the end of the day, then I guess we are mostly experiencing almost the same things. Today we will talk about a couple of things that might not translate well to Go when getting started with the language, and especially if you are coming from a language with lots of design patterns like C# and Java, for example. So I am coming from a long C# background. I started coded professionally in C# in 2001, exactly when the .NET framework was launched, the first version, and there is a lot of things. I would say it like that. There is a lot of things that make sense in those languages that do not really translate well, in my opinion. In Go, it's not like you cannot do those things, and I'm talking about the Gang of Four patterns, mostly related to object oriented, but not entirely. So it's still not only applying to OOP, but still a couple of those things which in the enterprise world are well established, if I can say that, and they are the norm, or they are the standard. So I'm not talking, I'm not saying that you should forget everything. I certainly didn't. I'm saying, well, first of all, the first thing I will say is just try to look at the idiomatic Go first when coming to Go. Try to absorb how things are done, because they will be different, and it's not necessarily that the patterns are not feasible or possible. They are, they are still possible to implement. The thing is, the code that will output will not be as maintainable and as simple as idiomatic Go. And let me give you a couple of examples for that. At my current consulting contract, they hired another company to do a small update of a Go web services that I wrote. So it was calling a services that Twilio was discarding. It was the fax service, and I did not add time to did that. So they hired a company, but they did not add any Go really experience and whatnot. But they were very capable of doing .NET. So that was their main thing. And to be frank, there were just not much Go developers available in Montreal, Canada at that time. So the company went ahead and they basically needed to change a third-party API. So at the end of the day, it's not a huge refactoring that was needed. But yeah, the programmer that worked on that added a couple of patterns here and there. So, for example, the builder pattern, for example. So now there were chain function all over the place. And in my personal opinion, when a line of code ends with a period, and there is a function call on the next line, and this line end with a period, and chaining function like that, I don't like that at all. I mean, it's not readable. It also does not really fit with Go's error handling, in my opinion. So what if you have a chain of 4 command or function, and one of those needs to report an error or anything like that. So I mean, it's just you're not used to see that, to be frank. And yes, it's possible to do that. It's the builder pattern is possible to implement and Go, but in my humble opinion, it doesn't produce very well readable code and idiomatic Go. Another pattern that was implemented was their responsibility. Well, I don't even remember what it was, but basically a function implementation needs to call something else. So a little bit similar to what Go HTTP handler are, in fact. But then the implementation is not done properly with the good usage of Go's interfaces, and that's mainly my issue to everyone, not just for C# and Java developer that are coming to Go. So anyone that wants to test this language, just at first I would recommend just write the code without anything. just just write the most simplest code that you can think of, and learn to use Go's pattern, because there is design pattern in Go. I mean, the error handling is a design pattern. Of course, the context package in Go is also something that could be considered as a pattern. The way interfaces works in Go, it's a pattern, and you can go a long way with the interfaces. I mean, they are beautifully designed, and you can build really extensible and maintainable application with those. So yeah, it's not like they will not work. The pattern that you are using on those object oriented language, they will work, but they will not translate. They will not translate into a good readable and maintainable way, because when I had to return on the code base to do the review, I did not even say anything, because I understood. I came from C# myself as well, and you are bringing a lot of baggage, a lot of, Uncle Bob old ways of doing things, which were great in C#, which were great in those environments, but when you are writing a tiny microservices that do have like less than 2,000 line of code, you don't need the builder pattern. You don't need the repository, the responsibility, whatever those patterns are. You don't really need them. You can do really nice code without those. And one thing that I think will help new Go developers build maintainable Go code is to write your test first. I still believe that test-driven development or any kind of test approach will inevitably makes you write better code. And I say that. I mean, I'm not even using TDD myself all the time. It's something that I'm aspiring to do for like 10 or 15 years. I don't know why. I don't know if it's me. I don't know what is the exact freaking problem, but yes, this is something that I'm still having difficulties myself. But I really see the value, and I think that's why there is so many people that are advising to do that. But if you are really frank, sometimes you just don't have the time. The budget is not there. I'm working with small companies. There's no excuses. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that sometimes it is a fact that when the company where you need to do the work does not embrace test, it's a hard sell. It's just the hard truth. Of course, if the company or organization is all in on test, that's good. So that's my point. If you are starting with Go, just write your one function at a time, handle your errors. You are probably building a network service of some sort, and you want your application to be up. You don't want your process to terminate. So the way to do that is to catch your error, handle your error, and it's not Erlang Elixir where let it crash and the system there's a supervisor that will restart your process. You don't want that in Go. So that's another thing. That's another thing that we will talk about the next segment. Yeah, the last thing that I'm seeing that people are bringing to Go is mostly related to functional programming. So, I mean, Go is not functional. Don't try to make it functional. It will produce dirty code. if you want to do functional programming, there is beautiful languages out there. I mean, like I said, Elixir is great. Clojure is not bad, although it's where, it's built on the JVM, but it's still not bad. There is option out there. It's very, very hard. I mean, C# is F# is probably correct as well if you are already on the .NET framework. Bringing a functional paradigm to a non-functional language is there's a lot of things that go let us do. So the first class function, we can pass function as argument and things like that. That's all good, and this is built in, and you're not looking at code and saying, why are they doing that? But when trying to replicate too many things, like and again, I return to the chaining of function, which could be similar to what the pipe operator could be in much of functional programming. Don't get me wrong, I would love to have a pipe operator. I'm saying that for years on Twitter for Go, but it's not there. I mean, and until it is, if we ever get that, well, chaining function is not a good thing. This is not the way the language is done. So I think it's worth trying to embrace the language, and there is Rust. If Go does not feel right in terms of its syntax, its simple syntax, well, Rust feels a little bit more functional, if you will, with the result thing and the pattern matching a little bit. It's I think it's worth embracing the vision of a language if you are to use it, because people, and especially I think especially in Go, where simplicity is probably the higher value, and when you look at multiple code bases, you feel right at home when the developers are using the idiomatic way of doing things. But again, it's all a question of taste at the end of the day, and if your company decide to implement lots of things which are not idiomatic and Go, then it will work. It will work for you. I mean, it's all good as long as you are good with this. So yeah, it's mostly that, I guess. Not a good ending of episode. I don't have anything more to say, but yeah, let's keep this discussion open. I think I'm it's always interesting to hear about. So let me know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm most certainly wrong, of course. Anyways, bye. All right, that's it for this week. I hope you liked the episode. And again, if you can share and talk about the podcast, that would be extremely appreciated. Also, if you want to check my book out, I have a course named Build SaaS App in Go. So it's at buildsasappingo.com. All right, see you in 2 weeks. Bye.